And with tonight's news, we want to bring in our political analyst, Dr. Brian Calfano, for a breakdown of this. Now, Brian, in his speech that he gave earlier this evening, Joe Biden put an emphasis on working together with Republicans in Congress and throughout the country. What are the first steps he goes in about doing that?
Well, he has to first come up, and by the way, happy Saturday to you, Joe. I know this is a different time for you usually, but
right.
Whatever. The thing is, I think the president-elect has to do more than talk. It's nice to give a few speeches and talk about unity, but we've heard that from George W. Bush 20 years ago, and we heard that from Barack Obama 12 years ago, and they both ended up governing pretty far to the right or the left, respectively. They didn't really do what they said they were going to do in terms of uniting the country. I think there's a good bet to be had that Biden, who has spent a lot of time in the U.S. Senate and has a lot of good relationships there among Democrats and Republicans, can actually make this work in terms of unifying the country. But it's going to be more than words. It has to actually be policy positions. It has to be what the administration is going to tackle in terms of top policy priorities over the first 100 days and over the first couple of years. And I think if there's enough there to appease Republican interests, and if he can in some way, assuming the Republicans hold the majority in the Senate, get Mitch McConnell and the others to go along with some things, then I think you're talking in terms of unifying the country. But a bunch of speeches about bringing people together, and if that's all you get are a bunch of speeches and a bunch of terms, that's really not going to get things accomplished. We're just too far down the road in terms of being so polarized these days.
On the other side of this ticket, the Trump administration and campaign is expecting some recounts to come in some states, and then said on Monday they're going to start filing several lawsuits with several states. What do we expect coming from those, and what's ahead as soon as next week from the Trump campaign?
I think you're going to expect to hear a lot of noise and a lot of discussion about things that went on that people claim shouldn't have gone on, malfeasance and that sort of thing. What's been missing up to this point is any actual evidence. And if there is to be evidence presented in these lawsuits, good. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's have an investigation and let's correct any vote tallies that have to be corrected. But the chances that this election win for Biden and Harris gets overturned or reversed because there were some ballots that were counted that were found that shouldn't have been counted, or ballots that weren't included in the count at all, and all these sorts of things, I just don't see it happening. The probability is not really on the president's side in this case. Even giving the president the benefit of the doubt that there was some malfeasance in certain instances, and again, there's no evidence of that, but just for argument's sake, you would have to overturn tens of thousands of ballots cast. And we're talking about election professionals, people who go about this work session in and session out, decades of experience. These are counties, municipalities, states that have been counting votes really since the beginning of the country in some cases with the East Coast states. So the chance that they've done something that has been a complete screw up in this situation, I think, is pretty nil. But the president feels that he has to go through this process, not only for his supporters, but also, I think, just for his own satisfaction. But I would not be a betting person on any of this actually changing the outcome.